What's up, everybody? What is happening? Welcome back to another video. Before I get into this, I want to give a shout out to my friend James. He came through and he helped me helped me fix the glitch and did other computer work for me. Got my camera working fine and my audio and everything. James, you are the man. I definitely owe you a dinner for this one. Okay, I'm gonna get into this article about Martin Luther King. It's a recent article that just came out. Some disturbing news. Before I do, please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and help me grow my channel. Let me jump right into it. This is from the Business Insider. Now, let's go to the top of the article. I'm going to try to skim through the article because it is pretty long and I don't want to make a long video. Sealed FBI audio tapes allege Martin Luther King Jr. had affairs with 40 women and watched while a friend raped a woman, a report claims. Let me go down, skip a little bit of this. Documents describing secret FBI recordings allege Martin Luther King Jr. had affairs with 40 women and watched on as a pastor raped a woman in the 1960s, a new report said. According to The Times, an article written by the King biographer David Garrow and set to be published in the June edition of the UK magazine Standout details newly released FBI memos that discuss the tapes. The tapes, sealed until 2027 in the U.S. National Archives, hold records from bugs placed in hotel rooms King used in the 1960s when they suspected his aide Stanley Livingston was a communist. Livingston, if I said his name right, whatever. The King Center declined to comment on the report. No doubt. Why would they want to comment? There's been a lot of information that came out about King over the years that he wasn't this angel that we thought he was, that he actually was quite human in a lot of ways, and he did have a lot of women on the side and engaged in orgies and stuff like that and had sex with prostitutes. This is something that was spoke about by historians and people who were close to King and knew him. That's probably why the King Center doesn't want to comment much on it. Okay, so the tapes were made as part of an FBI surveillance project that began in 1955 and continued until King was assassinated in 1968. According to Stanford's Martin Luther King Jr. Research and Education Institute. The FBI was trying to gather negative information about King in hopes of using it to discredit him. Former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was personally motivated to bring down King, according to the Institute. That is also public knowledge at this point. We know that Hoover didn't like King. He wanted to take him down. He wanted to shut down his movement. I'm pretty sure it was a mixture of bigotry and racism and hatred, and then plus the fact that they might have been allegedly been communist in King's movement, and that's why they wanted to take him down. Let me go further down the article. Let's see now. Just so we know who the author is, Garrow's he won a Pulitzer Prize. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner for in 1986 for the biography of King. So this is not a lightweighter. This is not a fly-by-night individual. This is someone who's very accomplished and credited writer, and he is very left-leaning according to some of the institutions that he is with and some of the organizations that he's a member of, and through his history, people who know him and who he works with and stuff like that. Okay, so he also was trying to get this into certain papers, and it was rejected by The Guardian, by The Atlantic, by The Washington Post. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They were saying it was too controversial. They don't want to, I guess they don't want to shed the light on who King might allegedly, is, because they don't want the hassle of probably being called racist for posting the articles. And plus, they don't want to push a narrative of any sort that can hurt them and hurt their leftist movement at the same time. Okay, Garrow wrote that the FBI bugged 2 lamps in King's room at the Willard Hotel in Washington in January 1964, The Times said. According to The Times, a memo accompanying the tape alleged King looked on and laughed as a pastor of Baltimore's Cornerstone Baptist Church raped a woman in the hotel room. The pastor died in 1991. It's a shame that he's dead, and we can't get a statement from him, although I guess he wouldn't want to collaborate anything because he he's the suspect in the rape, so he wouldn't want to say, I remember being there. Yeah, I raped that poor girl while Dr. King stood there laughing and shouted instructions. Him being alive or dead is not really gonna, make or break this this situation. The FBI documents say King had a conversation in which he discussed with women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural and unnatural sex acts, the Times wrote, citing Gallo's article. When one of the women protested that she did not approve, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her, the Times wrote, quoting the FBI documents. Gallo wrote that the FBI agents did not intervene during the alleged rape. The excuse would probably be because they had a bigger investigation to do, so the FBI didn't want to get involved and blow their cover by helping and making an arrest and protecting the girl who was being raped. I understand when they're doing certain types of investigations. This is emotion of mine speaking. Naturally, it's like, why wouldn't you intervene when a woman is being sexually assaulted? And it's like, well, we have an investigation that's bigger than this one woman being sexually assaulted. A pretty tough call to make in something like that. But, history is what it is. According to Gallo's article, which quotes the documents, at the same hotel the following evening, King and a dozen other individuals participated in a sex orgy. When one of the women shied away from engaging in an unnatural act, King and several other men discussed how she was to be taught and initiated in his respect. King told her that to perform such an act would help your soul. The Times quoted the memo as saying. King, whose wife was Coretta Scott King, has been accused of infidelity in previous documents, but never on the scale alleged by Gallo. He also thought there were 10 to 12 other women. He told the Times, not 40 to 45. So, it just gives a slight, insight on who Martin Luther King was, some of the things. Some of these things we knew about already. We knew that he liked his women. We knew that he slept with a lot of women behind his wife's back. We didn't know it to this extent. We didn't know about a rape and stuff like that. We didn't know that he was this, particular type of person. Again, this is all allegedly. We don't know until the tapes are made public, until there's evidence to support this. I wouldn't put all my stock in it. I like to see evidence. I'm not someone who just believes something because I read it and because I heard it. I want to know the evidence. If the evidence comes out and if the information is there and the data and everything is there, and if I'm forced to accept it because of the evidence, then I will accept it and say that this is the type of person Martin Luther King was, and no doubt I would lose a ton of respect for him. Now, here's a problem in something like this. Let's just say this, the information does become made available, and let's just say it is factual that this is the type of person he was. What do we do with all the statues and the street names after Martin Luther King? What do we do with all the pictures and buildings with his name on it? What do we do about this now? Do we take it all down? Do we tear down the statues? Do we pull pictures off the wall? Now, I have a picture of Martin Luther King on my wall in the living room. I also have a picture of George Washington. I'm not taking the George Washington picture down. So why would I take the Martin Luther King picture down? I'm leaving it all up. I'm going to leave it up because I don't believe in just ripping down statues and pictures and trying to erase history and pretend it didn't exist. All because men who did great things also did very bad things. That's history. It's filled of ugly stuff. It's filled of beautiful stuff. I'm not going to go around tearing down. I'm not with this tearing down of statues, but the left wants every statue removed. They want to completely reshape our history. They want to tear down, everything of us, everything that made our country what it is, our founding fathers, statues of Christopher Columbus, General Lee in the South. They want his statues and everything ripped down. So I would expect them to want to remove a Martin Luther King statue. I would expect them to want to rename streets that says Martin Luther King to a different name if this turns out to be true, but I'm pretty sure they won't do that. I'm pretty sure they will flip-flop. I'm sure that they'll try to do some kind of mental gymnastics to why they don't want to take down his statue. First off, I'm pretty sure they won't accept the information being factual. If it does come out, I'm sure they're going to say that it's a lie. They're going to engage in conspiracy theories, and they're going to say that, this is all Trump's fault. Meanwhile, Trump has absolutely nothing to do with this. They're going to blame white supremacy and Nazis and all the buzzwords are going to come out over something like this, even though that the man who was behind all of this, David Garrow, who was the guy who did the autobiography, who won a Pulitzer Prize for his autobiography. This is a man who is trusted in writing about Martin Luther King. This is a man who's well respected in the world of literature. And he is just writing about what he believes to be factual based on the knowledge that he obtained about things like this. Whether it's truthful or not is another story. I mean, if all the information comes out and the audio tapes are made public and it turns out to be true, he is just printing it because he is an expert on Martin Luther King, and this is what he does. He writes about King. And don't expect an award for this one, Garrow. You're not going to get anything. You're probably going to be publicly shamed. You probably will be kicked out. Whatever organizations you're a part of, they're probably going to rip up your membership. You're probably going to be out of a job. You're going to be out of work. No one's going to want to hire you. No one's going to want to publish any of your writings after this. You're going to be completely blackballed for something like this. Expect that to happen. You're going against the grain, by writing anything negative about someone like Martin Luther King. So expect your career to come to an end after something like this. But the question is, what do you do now if this turns out to be true? What is your solution? What do you propose? What is the best thing to do, knowing that you want all of history destroyed and you want statues ripped down? Would you be willing to would you want a Martin Luther King statue ripped down? I wouldn't. I say leave it up because despite anything, everything we know, he still did. He was still the man we know him for. He still was the epitome of the civil rights movement. He still, said those magical words at the March on Washington. I Had a Dream speech. It's still an extremely important speech that was made in American history. And I say leave it. Don't tear it down. Don't remove it from anywhere. Don't do any of that. You know what I mean? We can still look at him and say, okay, no matter all your greatness that you accomplished and what you contributed to society, but you still were still immoral in this aspect. We get it. Nobody's perfect. We're gonna hold you in the same regards as we hold all great men in history who also weren't so perfect in other aspects of their lives, like George Washington and Christopher Columbus and everyone else. So for the left it's a problem. For us it's not. You know what I mean? We're just gonna go on with with our lives, and we're just gonna expect the same old, and let's see what the left has to what they have to say about things like this, if this turns out to be true. But they won't accept it to be truthful anyway. Just that's something that's a granted. They're not going to believe it. So all right, let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. And if you want to read further about this, just Google Business Insider. That's who wrote this. The article that I read. I'm not going to put the title, I'm not going to put it in the description. You guys, you know how to find the information online. Just go and Google Martin Luther King FBI tapes, and it'll pop up, and you can read all about it. And I will see you guys on the next video.